I work for a company that handles property preservation. Essentially, we take care of foreclosed houses, securing them, cleaning them out, preparing them for winter, and sometimes boarding them up if they've been vandalized. It's not glamorous, but the pay is solid. Most of the time, it's peaceful. You spend a lot of time alone in homes that once belonged to people who are long gone. Occasionally, it's somber, often dull, but every so often you get assigned to a place that just feels wrong. This happened back in 2020 when I was sent to empty out a home in a remote area of upstate New York. It was one of those fading towns. Just a single gas station, many stores boarded up, streets full of cracks and weeds. The house was a small single-story building down a dirt lane, surrounded on three sides by thick woods and wild brush. No neighbors nearby, just forest and stillness. The file said the house had been foreclosed after its owner, an elderly woman, died, and no relatives had come forward to claim the property. The utilities had been off for over a year. My task was to inventory any remaining belongings, clean the place out, and make it ready for winter. I arrived that Monday around 9 a.m. with a box truck and my equipment. The house looked structurally sound from the outside. Windows were shut, door locked, roof intact, just overgrown with weeds and vines creeping up the porch. I had to push hard on the door because the wood had expanded in the frame. Inside, everything looked fairly ordinary. Dusty, stale air, faded old furniture. Then my work phone rang. It startled me because I knew I had no signal out there. I had already checked. No bars at all. Still, the phone buzzed. The caller ID showed nothing, just said, "Unknown caller." I picked up, but there was only static, low, crackling noise. I said hello a couple of times, then ended the call, assuming it was just a glitch. I got started. I always begin by taking photos to document each room and its contents. The living room was full of outdated furniture, lace curtains, framed art. It looked like something out of my grandmother's house. Bulky furniture, decorative doilies, porcelain knickknacks. The hallway carried an odor, not decay exactly, more like mildew, dust, and a faint metallic tang. There were 3 bedrooms. One had been stripped down to just a sagging mattress. Another was clearly used for sewing. Thread spools scattered around, and a dusty machine on the desk. On a corkboard nearby, I saw a bunch of old newspaper clippings, mostly obituaries. Dozens of them, neatly cut and pinned, all local names, none familiar. I moved on. In the main bedroom, there was a rotary phone sitting on the nightstand. I paused, taken aback. I hadn't seen one of those in ages. It was off-white, yellowed, with a coiled cord, clearly out of service, the line having been disconnected long ago. I continued on to the bathroom. That's when my phone rang again. Same unknown caller. I hesitated this time, picked it up, stepped into the hallway, and answered. Nothing at first. But then about 5 seconds in, I heard a whisper, barely audible. It said, "Don't answer the phone in the bedroom." And the line cut off. I froze, my heart racing. The house was absolutely still. I checked the windows, still closed, no one outside, no signs of forced entry. My initial thought was that I was being pranked. That's what anyone would think. Maybe one of the other guys on the crew was pulling a fast one, but no one knew I was there that early, and again there was no signal. I checked my phone, 1 bar, then none, as if the signal kept blinking in and out. I tried calling my supervisor, call failed. I decided to wrap things up quickly. I began boxing up the miscellaneous items in the living room, books, figurines, dusty dishes. But the entire time, I had this creeping sensation, like I was being watched. I kept glancing down the hallway, half expecting to see someone just standing there. Then I heard the phone ring a third time, but not my cell. The rotary phone in the bedroom. I heard it from across the house, loud, jarring, mechanical ringing that echoed. That phone shouldn't have been working. No service, no connection. But it rang like it was alive. I slowly walked toward the bedroom, cell still in hand. The ringing kept going. I stepped into the doorway. The rotary phone sat there, vibrating slightly with each chime. There was no way I was touching it. After a few more rings, it stopped. I stepped back out. I wanted to leave, but I still had to inspect and secure the basement. I nearly said forget it. But something compelled me. Maybe it was pride. Or maybe I just didn't want to admit how rattled I was. The basement entrance was in the kitchen. I opened it carefully. The steps creaked as I descended with a flashlight. The air smelled of mold and rust. Shelves lined the walls, stocked with old paint cans and broken furniture. In the far corner, I spotted a table. On it sat a dusty gray cordless phone, a more recent model. Beside it was a stack of aged notebooks. I picked one up and flipped through it. Every page listed a name, a date, and a brief note. Lena H. July 3rd, 2019. Rang once, didn't pick up. Carl M. September 12th, 2019. Answered, was warned. Dozens of entries like this. I dropped the notebook, stomach sinking. I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath me. I scanned the dark basement, certain I wasn't alone, that something unseen was watching me. I bolted upstairs, checking over my shoulder constantly, panic building. I didn't finish the job. I drove straight to the office and filed my report. I left out the details. Just said the property seemed unsafe, maybe squatters or signs of tampering. The assignment was handed off to another team. 2 days later, I got a text from one of the other workers, Mark. He'd gone out that morning to wrap things up. I hadn't told him what I'd experienced. His message read, "The phone in the bedroom rang while I was in there. No service. What the hell?" I called him immediately. He said he hadn't answered it, was too creeped out. The next day, Mark quit without notice and never came back. He didn't vanish. I later found his Facebook, and he's still posting. But I never spoke to him again. Whatever he encountered in that house, it spooked him enough to walk away from the job entirely. Our boss eventually called the cops to report possible squatters after Mark left, but they found no one in the house. Everything about that place, the isolated location, the decaying interior, the mysterious calls to my phone, the whisper on the line, and that cursed phone ringing. It felt like being trapped in a horror film. I honestly believe it was either an elaborate, twisted joke or a very deliberate, very dark trap.